welcome to no one, because no one is watching yet. But if someone does join, they're going to join me in a conversation about this big weekend of wrestling we've got. July the 12th, July the 13th. So what we're talking about, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away, something like that, 4 weeks away, 3 weeks, Jesus. Should have done my research before, but it's fine because no one's watching. So we're talking about a big weekend in wrestling across WWE and AEW, and all of the controversy in the chat is around what WWE are doing. This microphone better be working, and I'm going to assume that I'm on, because no one is watching, so I don't know if I'm on. So if anyone does start watching, please can you just tell me that you can hear me? We are live, and I'm assuming already that you can actually hear me, because I'm trying this, well, not this new microphone, I've used it before, but I've never done it on a live stream, so I'm assuming it's going to work. So we'll give it a few minutes to liven up. I don't know what Sue means. Sue, is he like doing some Ronaldo celebration or something? Is that meant to be Suey? But the sound is good. Excellent, thank you. So I've seen a lot of talk, a lot of chat around this big weekend. We're talking about July 12th, July 13th, all in Texas, which is, as everyone always explains to me, AEW is WrestleMania, their version of WrestleMania. So their big show, they've had it in Wembley the last 2 years. They've decided to do it in Texas in a stadium. I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that it's AEW's first stadium show in America. First stadium show that's not at Wembley. So it's a big deal for them. They've got a football stadium, I believe it is Texas. It's not the AT&T, but it's another one. It's a big stadium. I'm assuming they're hoping for 20, 30, 40, 50,000. But I think they've sold, at last I looked, 50,000 yet. I've got an agreement on the first stadium show. It's a big deal for them. AEW bit of momentum recently compared to where they were maybe a year ago. And for those that watch it, they all tell me it's getting better, products getting better, getting back to maybe where they were 2-3 years ago when they had some real momentum. And we had the likes of Chris Jericho saying that Dynamite was going to beat Raw, which, let's be honest, was stupid chat from Chris Jericho. But, you know, those were the days where Tony Khan was firing his shots, and it is what it is. So we'll see how that pans out. However, so we've got that on the AEW side. And now, that was announced a while ago. Someone's challenging me to a WWE match in real life with me. Yeah, I'll do it. I've wanted to have wrestling match since I was about 10 years old, so let's do it. So yeah, let's do it. You know me the time and the place and the stipulation, and we'll do it. But back to the point of this chat. WWE have then, since that's been announced, decided to book a huge weekend in terms of number of events, at least, in Atlanta. So they've got the Great American Bash, which is an NXT PLE. I do accept it, yes. We've got Saturday night's main event, which is obviously their TV special, which is for us in the UK, live on YouTube, which is bloody annoying because it's full of commercials, full of adverts as it is. And then you've got the adverts. That come up there as well. And then they've got Evolution, which is the second Evolution, which will take place on the Sunday. And so they've booked it. The big chat is it's going to be Goldberg's last match, thank God. So we've got Goldberg's last match in Atlanta. But that thing, so I believe, and if someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that we will get the same time is going to be the Great American Bash as All In. So there'll be counter programming. There'll be a live WWE show while AEW have got their WrestleMania. Now, before we get into who's going to watch what and all of that, there's a lot of chat about why WWE are doing this and that. And I guess, why are WWE doing this? I reckon the reason why they're doing this is because they see this as an opportunity. And I'm going to speak like Vince here, but obviously we don't ever condone what Vince said and did outside of wrestling. To crush the competition, crush the secondary organization, which is AEW at the moment. They had quite a bit of momentum a few years ago, and let's be honest, they were losing wrestlers to AEW. I don't think there's a real, obviously wrestlers get released, some wrestlers might still pick WWE. I don't think there's a scenario right now where they are AEW where a wrestler picks. I know people say Sasha Banks and Will Ospreay. That was a good year ago now. I don't see right now where they pick them. So I think they see them vulnerable. They see them, obviously, we've seen the TV ratings, we've definitely seen the attendance. I think the TV stuff's harder because of all the streaming. But I see that they see it and they see the whole Vince mentality, which, let's be honest, Triple H is his father-in-law. That is, he is, Vince is his father-in-law. That mentality of actually they see an opportunity here to let's attack their show. Will it backfire? Will it work? And that's what we can talk about today. They could lose viewers. A good point today I saw is what is WWE going to do if no one watches NXT and everyone watches AEW? That could happen. But you have to remember, in the rest of the world, all of these, well, the two of the events are on Netflix. They're on Peacock in America. They're without commercials. You don't have to pay extra for them if you've got access to those things. With the AEW, and obviously there are ways to watch AEW All In without paying for it. However, there are a lot of people that will pay for it, and you're going to have to make a choice to pay for that or pay for Great America or watch Great American Bash on potentially a platform that you've already got at the same time. And Saturday Night's Main Event is effectively free. It's on their big TV, NBC, which was the equivalent of the BBC in America, and it's bloody YouTube for us. But so you've got that, and I think so there's a risk. People don't watch NXT. People have had enough of wrestling, so they watch it All In because it's a big show. And there are big matches. Look, there is Mercedes Moné against Toni Storm is probably the biggest women's match that AEW can put on. And it's probably one of the biggest matches they can put on. I will probably check it out. I won't watch it live. Or it depends what time of day it is and whatever. But, that is a match that I will watch, which is rare because I don't watch many AEWs. The rest of it, I'll be honest, I can't even tell you what the other matches are. Kenny Omega is wrestling someone. Fine, good. And there is something else going on. But yeah, that's a good point. People will pay for AEW due to the quality of the match card. So fine, it is their WrestleMania. It is a big deal. It's a big event. It's their version. If you even watch AEW a little bit, I would expect you to watch that. And I guess what WWE are trying to do is get less people. The diehard AEW fans are going to watch this event. I don't think WWE are going to pretend that they're not. It doesn't matter if NXT's on Peacock. It doesn't matter if Saturday Night's Main Event is on YouTube or NBC, and Evolution's obviously on the Sunday anyway. Although there's an argument about wrestling fatigue and if you've had enough if you watched it. My personal thing is I don't watch NXT events. Very rarely am I watch the odd match. I will watch Saturday's Main Event the next morning on YouTube, very annoyingly, and I will watch it. And it's about an hour's worth of a show. So I don't think you're going to get fatigued from that. There's about an hour of commercials and about an hour of matches. And then you've got Evolution, which I am very much looking forward to the most out of these four events, which will be on the Sunday night, which is annoying because we don't have PLEs on Sunday nights anymore. And then have to watch it on the Monday during work, not during work, if anyone's watching this. After work, lunchtime, morning, whenever that will be. So those are the ones I am doing. I guess as such, the people that aren't. Oh, sound's gone off. Has the sound come back because of that stupid phone call? Tell me the sound's come back. Hopefully the sound's come back. I'm gonna just guess that the sound's come back. That weird person who was asking me about did I want a wrestling match? Perfect, thank you, Orion. Has now had all their messages retracted. So I don't know if that's YouTube or them or what's going on, but thanks for that anyway. So WWE, I guess, are gambling that AEW, the people who watch a bit of AEW will choose WWE and they won't get eyes on their biggest show. They won't pay $50 for the PLE or they won't seek out a way to watch it. So that's their gamble. Whether that happens or not, what I don't get is the criticism of WWE for doing it. It's business practice. It's what Coke would do to Pepsi. It's what Sony would do to Microsoft or vice versa, and vice versa. It's what the competition would do to the other competition. It's what Kendrick would do to Drake. It's what so I don't see why, because if you love wrestling, I get it, because you're maybe narrowing the choices and you're saying, okay, well, you're gonna have, and there's a good point. If you watch 2 or 3 of the events on Saturday, are you going to be less interested in the evolution PLE, and then you take the eyes off the women, which obviously is not the point of an evolution PLE. So I get it. I just don't get the surprise that people are doing it, that WWE are doing this. It's always been their practice, always will be their practice. They're owned by TKO. They've got shareholders to appease. They're there to make money. This seems sensible. They're not even giving anything away. But TNA never got the viewers, did they? So yeah, they never did this with TNA, but they did do this with WCW, and WCW did this with WWE. So if you think way back when, Monday Night Wars, giving away, WCW famously gave away that Mick Foley won the W title, and actually people in the old days when you had a limited amount of channels switched over to WWE to see that, and it was counterproductive. They also gave away other stuff, and they were very much, there's a famous thing, which again, if you're watching this or you watch this in the future, you can check out. Rick Rude was on a recorded episode of Raw, and then he signed for WCW in that week, and he appeared on Nitro the same time. Yeah, I do, and we're going to go into this bit of competition, because it's a debate that me and Jordan have, and people have in general, around competition and where they see it as competition. I think, yeah, so just to finish that point, I don't get the surprise. I get why WWE is doing it, and just my last point on this is, I don't think they're giving anything away. It's not one of their big 5 PLEs. It's not, it's not SummerSlam, it's not WrestleMania, it's not Royal Rumble, it's not Survivor Series, and it's none of those. It's, yeah, and I say Triple H don't respect Tony. I think that's it, and I think Tony Khan is obviously a wrestling fan, and I respect him for that. There is an element of, he doesn't have to, I know we'll have this debate, and it's not a debate for now, whether AEW makes money, and just because Dave Meltzer says AEW makes money, no one has ever seen any proof that AEW make money. They make money on shows, but do they turn a profit? Do they have to? It's a billionaire's son's plaything, is what people would say this. I think they've taken shots at each other, they've done that, and I will go into the competition thing, but like I said, WWE are giving Saturday night's main event, which is, it's not even a PLE. Evolution's not on the same night, and it's an NXT PLE, which is at the same time. I do agree, AEW do make money from the TV deal, but I think they make money, but they also pay Sasha Banks. Mercedes Moné is the highest paid woman in wrestling, which is crazy when you think of how many eyes someone like Rhea Ripley has on her, and how big Rhea Ripley is, and is on Netflix every week. That's crazy. That doesn't make logical business sense. In a real business, that if AEW had shareholders and they had to think, that wouldn't be a business decision. Sasha Banks, I love Sasha Banks, one of my favorites of all time. And if and when she comes back to WWE, I will pop massively. It'll be an amazing moment. She has the legacy, but she doesn't bring the eyeballs. She did maybe when she first joined, and even then, did she? Because it didn't really, she's the only person, in my opinion, and I think the facts lay this out, that have ever put new eyeballs in AEW, including my own, was CM Punk. And we can talk about CM Punk and how it ended, and maybe Tony Khan had to do it or whatever, or he could have got rid of some other people or whatever. But CM Punk brought new eyeballs. I watched Dynamite. The only time I've ever watched an episode or beginning of Dynamite was CM Punk's return in Chicago. I watched some of, at least on YouTube, I watched some of the promos with him and MJF and when he was talking and stuff like that. I watched some of their PLE matches, which is when he was wrestling on there. That was saying, Sasha's more in a court to request more money. Does she though? Does she have more? And hi, Billy. Does she have more than Rhea Ripley? Is she a bigger star than Rhea Ripley? You can say she's won more belts. I mean, that's a nonsense of this belt collector stuff. She's got a legacy. She's one of the 4 horsewomen. If you're going to argue that, you would say Charlotte Flair is the one who should be requesting the most money out of Rhea Ripley, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky. Well, I mean, and then Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is objectively a much bigger star in every bit than Sasha Banks. So how is Sasha Banks earning more than her? Anyway, we don't need to make this about Sasha Banks. Yeah, I agree. They can get the thing. But again, if they had shareholders and they had to make money, you say, okay, we're going to pay X, $5 million a year to Sasha Banks, we get this much money from our TV deal. We're also going to pay X amount of money to all these released WWE stars because I just want to keep getting that. And I know he's calmed down a bit on that, which I think is good business practice, in my opinion, from Tony Khan. He does not need to sign every single person that's released by WWE and not do anything with them, which, again, that's not just a criticism of AEW. A couple of the people that have gone back, Miro, or whatever his name is, has gone back, and who's the other one? Aleister Black. I didn't care for them in WWE. I didn't care for them in AEW, and I don't care for them now that they're back in WWE. So it's not just an AEW criticism. But I don't think if you're talking about Tony Khan signing, but there was a period where it did feel like, and maybe I was wrong, and he's calmed down now, which I think is good, and there's a bit more quality control, and does it make sense? However, he does have 2 shows to fill. I know no one watches the Saturday show. They do have a range of pay-per-views to fill, and they've got the time, and they go to the quality over quantity. And I think both Odin and Billy have made the points to me in our WhatsApp group recently. AEW is better when it tries to be AEW and an alternative rather than WWE Light. However, what's going to make them the most money? And we don't know, because we may know how much they get from their TV deal, but minus what they pay everyone, let's be honest, their gate revenue is not good at the moment. It hasn't been good, and they've struggled to fill arenas. WWE are way ahead, like way ahead. You look at 11,000 is like a small crowd for SmackDown now, for a 3-hour TV show. And I mean, someone can probably tell me in this chat, how many did AEW get at their last PLE? And their one before that. And I know they've got a stadium show next, but how many did they get, in terms of that for their PLEs? And they do less PLEs than WWE. So it's that. And we'll go now onto this competition point. Is it competition? Now, I've said this, and of course, I've pissed off a lot of people by saying WWE don't see AEW as competition. And I probably need to correct what I'm saying a little bit and clarify my point. To AEW, WWE is the biggest competition. It's where they need to get eyeballs for. It's where they need to get wrestlers from. It's where they need to not lose wrestlers like Mariah May, Blake Monroe now too. That's their competition. What I would say is, yes, AEW is competition to WWE. But what I think Triple H said, and what I agree with, or it was Nick Khan, one of the WWE boys, is that it's not the only competition. And by that, they mean, if you look at, and again, you look at their Netflix stuff and you look at the top 10, we're in the UK, so you see a top 10 every week. Raw's still in the top 10 on Thursday. SmackDown's still in the top 10 today, I saw. That's their competition. So as well as AEW, but that's the competition. They're going up against TV shows. They're going up against mainstream, and they're obviously with the Travis Scotts of this world, et cetera, and we can talk another time because I know that's such a controversial subject. With Travis Scotts, they have got a mainstream appeal that AEW do not have, despite the times that they've, I'm sure, brought in celebrities and Snoop and whoever else they've brought in. But what I would say is, yes, there is obviously an element. They're the biggest wrestling organization and the second biggest wrestling organization. There is a potential that wrestlers can go back and forth, which is great for us as fans. Obviously, we want that. When someone shows up on WWE or AEW, and that's a big deal. In terms of an edge thing. But that for me is the competition is not just AEW. Whereas AEW, they don't want their competition to be TNA or one of the other organizations, do they? Or New Japan or something else. They want their competition to be WWE. So it is their bit. They're ultimately, if I'm making these figures up, if AEW gets 500,000 viewers a week, the place that they're going to try and increase that to 1 million viewers a week is WWE fans. It's people who watch Raw, SmackDown, maybe NXT, maybe everything. So that's my point. I just think there is an element, of course, their competition. It's the biggest wrestling organization in the second. What I would say is the gap has widened, and I look at financials, and this is a point, we talked about Sasha Banks earlier, star power. If I am a casual wrestling fan or a big WWE fan like I am, and I will see clips of other wrestling sometimes and all that, who am I tuning in to see? Who am I going to see a promo from? And I've had this debate around the Miz, around MJF. My God, someone's going to shoot me for calling the MJF the Miz. Yeah, I agree it is AEW, but I don't see AEW growing its audience from non-wrestling. Whereas obviously with Netflix, WWE have tried to, I think, two ways to grow their competition. One is to get people that didn't watch wrestling before to come and watch, and then the lapsed fan. And I know several of them. I know like people are coming out of the woodwork because they've discovered that I've got a YouTube channel and I've got some subscribers and someone messaged me on LinkedIn the other day. Bizarre, because it's not really a wrestling platform, but it's not a social platform either. But just to say, oh, I saw you got this YouTube channel, by the way, I've just started watching again, or I started watching last year. The amount of lapsed fans, so I think it's two things that they're getting, WWE are trying to go for in terms of their audience. I think, and this is just in my opinion, that AEW's the most likely people to get that viewership from, and I'm making these figures up, from 500,000 to 1 million a week, is WWE fans. That's my point around competition. And I've talked a lot. But yeah, that is ultimately my point, I think, around that in terms of that. So it's not to say that you can think, okay, we've got a comment there. For WWE, it's the brand that they have, brand more brand value, it's more wrestler loyalty than WWE on the wrestler loyalty. So it's more on that wrestler loyalty than WWE. Yeah, I guess there's obviously brand value there in WWE. Like in terms of WWE is a worldwide known brand. If someone says wrestling to non-wrestling fans, they think of WWE. If they're old, they think of Hulk Hogan. If they're 20 years older than that, younger than that, they think of John Cena. They think of the big names. They think of people that, obviously The Rock. People have transitioned outside of wrestling and all of that. And it's all WWE. People don't think, there's a lot of people that don't know. And one of my friends, David, who was on the show we did after Money in the Bank, it was on camera, but we had a conversation about, and my other friend Kez was saying, and he was talking about Toni Storm and the great work she's done, and Mariah May coming over. He didn't know who Toni Storm was. Now he's a lapsed fan. He watched wrestling for years when we were kids and teenagers, then stopped watching and restarted watching it around a year and a half ago. She's been the best thing, I think people will say, in AEW in the last year and a half, 2 years, probably in terms of the most eyeballs and the best product of that. And a WWE fan who watches quite a lot of WWE, went to WrestleMania, is WrestleMania next year, all of this sort of stuff, didn't know who Toni Storm was. And that's kind of always been my point around this. It's how do AEW get those people star power without, I know they got Edge, but to be honest, I've never, and this is not because he's at AEW, I've just never been a big Edge fan, and it was a great, obviously, pop when he came in. Absolutely, Toni Storm was in WWE. There's no argument that Toni Storm has done far better for herself in AEW, and they've done better with her, and it's her own creative. If that's what it is, she's fantastic. She's phenomenal. My argument is always, she's obviously, there's a line that she crosses in AEW because, again, the niche audience of AEW is predominantly probably male, aged 18 to, she was at Evolution. I remember her. I remember having that stupid pie in her face from Charlotte or whatever it was. She wasn't booked well. It wasn't well run. It wasn't great. I mean, if I think of that time, WWE it was pre-pandemic. It wasn't. I mean, let's be honest, it was a low for WWE. It wasn't the pre-pandemic, sort of 2019 wasn't brilliant product. So someone like Toni Storm absolutely got lost in the mix and wasn't there. Could she cross over back to WWE? I'm sure she can. She's extremely talented and all that. What I always say, and I've obviously got a 9-year-old daughter that watches WWE with me, there's obviously things you can get away with AEW. And that's where the argument, going back to the competition, is for me. AEW, niche audience, people want the alternative. That means more swearing. Have them into creatively. Yeah, maybe. And that's, again, for an audience that want people to be able to swear more, all the sexual innuendo stuff with Toni Storm, Mariah May, now Sasha Banks, all of that sort of stuff. You can do more, you can push it. And that, I think, I mean, I don't know the stats, but I could probably guess. It's male, 18 to 45. That's the demographic that they're going for. That's the thing. Whereas we know on this channel, WWE appeals to more women, more kids, people who aren't hardcore wrestling fans that watch every PLE and might just watch half an hour on Netflix or see a clip or see their favorite like The Rock come back, or people who like Travis Scott and will watch Travis Scott. Oh, I know, dangerous subject to mention it, but Logan Paul and the eyes that he brings on from a certain generation and YouTube platform and all of that sort of stuff. So how did AEW get that audience? I'm sure kids do go to AEW. I'm just saying it's not as appealing as a dad to take your kid to something that has. I mean, my argument with AEW, there's way too much blood. Like, and not just because of the kids factor. Charlie doesn't want to watch it anyway. But if there's too much blood, what impact does it have? And I will say this, and I will use WWE as an example. When they had their hardcore championship, and even before that, and they started hardcore matches, there was a period of time where I lost interest because every single match was a hardcore match. And hitting someone with a chair, putting someone through a table, it meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. And I'm not, and this is why AEW doesn't appeal to me. It's like the blood in that match, the blood in that match, the blood in that match. Everyone can swear, everyone can do it. The impact, WWE had one F word unbleeped in their history that I know of, and maybe there is others, and they're normally censored. When Cody told The Rock to go himself, and now it's bleeped up if you watch on Netflix, but obviously there's plenty of clips. But for the first few days on Netflix, it wasn't. And I was sitting there. The impact that has is huge. It's huge. And obviously The Rock comes in and swears because he's The Rock and whatever, but obviously that's all beeped out and all that stuff. I just think the swearing, the risque storylines, I think, yeah, that will appeal to a lot of people. And that's what you want from your wrestling. And I get the alternative. It is the alternative. But then how does the alternative grow? Because there's only a certain amount of people, I believe, that will want to watch that. And I've come out roundabout in 27 minutes to my point of this whole AEW, WWE stuff is, yes, alternative, everyone will tell me it's a better product. I agree, but I don't think it's all about AEW. It's the match quality, character development. Yeah, no, it is. And again, match quality. So match quality is subjective, obviously, unless you're Dave Meltzer and you think your stupid ratings mean more than anyone else's stupid ratings, which obviously they don't. And no one's ratings is subjective. There's matches that I will enjoy that Odin won't enjoy. There's matches that Billy will enjoy that I will enjoy. That's the fun of wrestling, and you pick what you like. Again, to a casual viewer of Raw and maybe the big five PLEs, match quality is subjective. I know you don't care for ratings. I don't think, even in this day and age, there can be many people that care for the ratings. I mean, the whole thing about Kurt Angle doesn't have a 5-star match. Shawn Michaels has one or something. The minute you say that, oh, this is the person that's respected most, and Shawn Michaels has one 5-star match with The Undertaker. Kurt Angle has no 5-star. I mean, come on. We can do a whole show on Dave Meltzer and just his general bullshit, in terms of an old man yelling into clouds half the time, isn't he? And then, he was all for WWE, then all for AEW, then now back to slagging off AEW and whatever. It's bullshit. There is clearly stuff that we don't know. Maybe we do know about it. I just don't care to know about it. That's going on. But I think, again, match quality is subjective. Certain people will enjoy the technical aspect. And I think the thing is with WWE, I think you get a bit of everything. And this is maybe my biased view again. You do get the pure wrestling graps, whatever you want to call it, matches. You do get the very storyline driven matches. You get a bit of comedy. In terms of that, which I've never been a huge fan of anyway, the comedy stuff. You get the hardcore stuff. So you will get a Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk Hell in a Cell, which was unreal. Again, would that been as good if every match everyone was bleeding left, right, and center, and every match was Hell in a Cell? I don't know. It's not the case in AEW. I'm just saying. So you get that. So you get a bit. I think I get my balance of all of that. Like I said, I will watch Sasha Banks versus Toni Storm, Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm. I will watch that match. I can't say at the moment that I know of the matches that I will watch else there. And I've watched, there's a video on our channel where I watched the All In last year and gave my perspective on what I thought was good, what I thought wasn't good, and purely from just someone who's watched WWE for 30 years. So I think match quality, yes, I get it. But it's subjective, match quality in wrestling. Ultimately, it's wrestling. It's not. We're not talking about Premier League football, and we're not talking, how important the match quality is versus Premier League versus like an MLS or something. in terms of that. So I think that's a point, and I get it. People will like that style of wrestling, will like the fact that matches can go longer. Do I love it? Even in WWE, when people kick out finishes 500 times and kick out of power drivers and that. I mean, I'm going to give one. I'll probably talk to laugh, and I'm not sure if anyone's ever going to watch this again. But one point I will give is WWE made the power driver, which obviously was a move when I was younger watching wrestling, into a storyline. They made the fact that Kevin Owens power drived Randy Orton, or was Randy Orton first or Cody Rhodes first, whoever it was, in a big deal. He used a band move. It was a whole big thing. He made that into that. Every clip I see of AEW, someone's doing a power driver. And every other clip I see of AEW, someone's kicking out of someone's standing up straight from a power driver. I think the impact you had there, a good example where, and I'm sure there are great examples in AEW, I just don't know them, where they've used something that is genuinely banned. And obviously, if you watch Kevin Owens give it, he's very careful when he's giving those power drivers, in that. And I think, again, do you need to take those risks? Do they need to take the risks that they do in AEW? I mean, that stuff with John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, and the stuff that was stuck in his back. How big an audience do you think want to watch that? It's like, I like horror films, and I like Saw, and I like traditional horror films, and I like some of the new horror films. Protection, that's it. It's move protection. Odin always knows the proper terms. It's move protection. And don't get me wrong, WWE can do it. I mean, for people that watch this know that, my number 1 and 2, and I don't know which order, it changes all the time, is HBK and Roman Reigns. Shawn Michaels' finishing move was Sweet Chin Music, which is a super kick. Super kick is the least protected move in the history of wrestling, in WWE at least, anyway, and probably in AEW and everything else. It's crazy how it was arguably the greatest in-ring performer of all time's finisher, and now Jimmy J, 50 other wrestlers will do it, spam super kicks, left, right, and center. So I guess, again, same argument, same criticism, and it's just, do you protect certain moves? Do they protect moves well enough, or is it just for that shock and awe factor of, oh my God, he's done a power driver on the apron or outside or whatever it is? And they do, and and I don't know what that Darby Allin's even doing now, but I saw that thing where he went through glass, or what was it, through table glass, or whatever. Do you need to do that? Obviously, we know the story of the glass and Jack Perry, and obviously CM Punk. And I didn't know until someone pointed out to me a few months ago that Jack Perry was Luke Perry's son, which is crazy because Luke Perry was in Beverly Hills 90210, which I used to watch, and I used to love him. Dylan, he's a great character. I think certain moves won't be protected due to generative example, finisher, no one kicks out. Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, exactly. I think there is an element, and I know WWE do it with these finishers, and maybe they're doing it a bit, gone on to a different subject now, but maybe they're doing it too much, because for me, it's like WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Raw or something where someone kicks out twice out of the finisher or something. Whereas now it's almost every main event, Cena and I know Cena and Cody was at WrestleMania, but in the tag team match, didn't he kick out of an AA, and then he kicked out of a Crossroads, and maybe that was the save, but it should feel huge when someone kicks out of someone's finisher. It should feel huge when someone does a risque move like a power driver. And this is, I'm just rambling into the clouds, I know, but I think, again, it's what I see, it's what clips I see, and I am biased. I am a WWE fan. I watch WWE. I just don't. I want there to be something to make me watch AEW, and I think right now it would be star power, and I don't know where they would get that from. What can Clark Kent, who is also Asif, is agreeing? I don't know which bit he's agreeing with, but hopefully he's agreeing with the whole 34 minutes of this video. So what? Yeah. So again, so we've gone full circle now round. Talked about why I think the competition, what I think Nick Khan or Triple H meant, and maybe they didn't, maybe they were just being Nick Khan, which is fine, they're WWE guys. I am a bit in my bias. I've never not admitted it's my bias, but my bias is created from something of watching a lot of WWE wrestling over the years, and I don't think my points on AEW are unfair. I think my biggest point of this is Niche audience, get it. It's for and when they did well, that's what they did. They had the niche, they were the alternative. That's what people said, didn't they? Alternative, great. How do you grow that alternative? And do they need to? Because they don't need to make money. Or is Papa Khan just funding this until he gets bored, until Tony Khan gets bored? That's it. So from a business point of view, going back to the beginning of the video, absolutely see why WWE would do this to AEW. As I said, it's what Pepsi would do to Coke, or Coke would do to Pepsi. It's what Sony would do to Microsoft, or vice versa. It's what Kendrick would do to Drake. It's what thing. But are they profitable? Show me some evidence where they are profitable. I don't need Dave Meltzer telling me, oh, AEW are turning a profit now, with no mention of anything. I think they've done well with their TV deal. It gives them a bit of longevity, gives them a bit of time to grow. But I can see their crowds. I can see the size of their audience. But don't use Travis Scott as an example. Travis Scott is more profitable than the entirety of AEW. Travis Scott needs to wear one pair of trainers and they're sold out in 5 seconds. Travis Scott is a man and a brand, and you may not like Travis Scott, but he has probably the best WrestleMania theme of all time. Creation Ado shows how influential. Yeah, and then you could add Cody to that as well, I guess, don't you? I think it's great. Look, I don't think it's a bad thing as an alternative. It's good for the wrestlers. It's good for their protection. It's good for their salaries. It means more money goes in to wrestlers' pockets rather than an owner's pocket as such. I think that's good. It gives them the people that are released from WWE, it's not as bad as it used to be because there's an alternative. There's a chance. There's obviously the indies, they can do different routes. And obviously Cody is example number one. Look, helped set up AEW, took his whole thing, and it's huge. I was in Texas when Cody debuted, and it was huge. It was huge. It felt like, if you want to talk about starts of new momentum for WWE, I can't remember who made this point. I saw a video. Someone said, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of this upward swing. Is Cody re-debuting with his American Nightmare gimmick, music, everything looks exactly the same as he has done on the independents on AEW. And I think that's a fair argument. I think that's a fair point. And you wouldn't get that without AEW. Don't disagree. I do not want, despite sometimes what people might think, I do not want AEW to go out of business. I just find it sometimes laughable when people are going, this is the competition, good. It is, and as I said, it is competition to a certain extent, but it's not the same level of competition. WWE doesn't view AEW the same way AEW, and I would argue some of their fans view WWE. It is good for the wrestling business. It is definitely good for the wrestling business. And it's good for there to be an alternative. And actually, there's a bit of, it's not the worst thing in the world for WWE that they lost Will Ospreay or July 12th. Yeah, July 12th is when we're talking. We've talked about it. As if you've missed it. If you haven't been on the stream, you're going to have to rewatch it. But we can talk about that again. I mean, again, for anyone who's watching, for my four or five viewers, whoever is watching, what match that we know of now are we looking forward to the most for that weekend? Bearing in mind there's a WWE event, Night of Champions, next weekend before these 3 events. I don't know what the NXT matches are. So if someone could tell me the NXT matches, I know, as I've mentioned, I think the biggest match from my point of view on the AEW card is Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm, Okada versus Omega. That's it. And I know for a lot of people that's a huge match, the resumption of a rivalry. But there'll be a whole load of people in WWE, watch WWE, that just have no clue who Okada is. They might have a clue who Kenny Omega is, maybe. Okada, definitely not. So I get it. Big match. Is that the main event? Who's the title match? What is MJF doing? I keep asking this question. What's happened to MJF? MJF was the hot, and this is where it was when AEW was good. MJF was on fire. He did huge stuff with Chris Jericho, put him over. Obviously, CM Punk did, and I think if he had gone when his contract was supposed to be, I don't know. People don't know who Toni Storm is. People don't know who Okada is. People may know. I know who he is by thing. Hurt Locker said, I forgot he's doing that shit with Bobby Lashley, isn't he? That's not. So that's the. Okay. I like Bobby Lashley. But I think Brock Lesnar, and I know another one we shouldn't really mention on this. Bobby who? I mean, I don't. Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that they do, but they make them then stars in WWE. Like, I didn't know who Io Sky was before she came to WWE. I didn't know who Asuka was before she came to WWE. I, I'm not saying that they don't get wrestlers from there. What I'm saying is, what the people in the main are people can be like, oh my god, I'm going to watch Kenny Omega versus Okada. If you haven't watched AEW, no, I don't mean you're going to suddenly get this new audience that are going to come over to. Are they going to watch Sasha Banks versus Tony Storm? Probably not. Exactly. Asif learns everything from a WhatsApp group chat, but I know who they are. There's stuff, but then you watch every bit of wrestling, so you of course you know who they are. I know so it doesn't always relate to legacy. Yeah, no, but they're star power, but they're not. We're not talking about CM Punk and Roman Reigns and John Cena and Cody Rhodes there. You know, there is a different type of star power. I'm not saying Kenny Omega. I've seen wrestle. He's a phenomenal wrestler. I think he's good on a mic. It's a shame he never came over to WWE. Whether he ever does, I would not be upset if Kenny Omega came to WWE. Okada, I don't know. I know his name. I see his name all the time. And I don't know what he does, but big rivalry. But that's it. So those are the two big matches then. No one said any other matches that are happening. And I know it's a while at All In, but it is their WrestleMania. So if that's the two big matches, where's the star power? Where's the genuine star power that's going to... Look, if you look at, even in the worst WrestleManias, you had The Rock and Austin headlining or something of that equivalent, right? You had someone at that level. And the ones that really struggled, you didn't. But you had that, even the crap... And we all hate him. Let's make this clear. He is a racist piece of shit. But Hulk Hogan was the biggest star of the 80s and early 90s. So, but they had a crappy pay-per-view, but they had Hulk Hogan headlining it. And WrestleMania 9 was awful. It was the worst WrestleMania. I mean, I will do a show on the worst and best WrestleManias, which I think is a really interesting one. WrestleMania 9 is probably the worst. I can't remember one good match. Doink versus Doink or whatever it was the funniest moment when two Doinks appeared. And obviously the worst ending to any WrestleMania. I know people will tell me, oh my God, this year, because Travis Scott came in and John Cena won record 17 and Cody Rhodes lost and The Rock didn't appear. If you were around when WrestleMania 9 happened and Bret Hart lost to Yokozuna and then doofus Hulk Hogan came out, then you cannot even, this is not even close to the thing, two Doinks. Yeah, in terms of star power and wrestling legacy. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not, again, wrestling legacy, and you look at that, absolutely. But again, wrestling legacy appeals to hardcore wrestling fans, like proper wrestling fans. Oh my God, that person did this in New Japan, they did this in WCW, they did this in AEW, they did this in WWE, they had that run there. Again, those aren't going to be new viewers. I'm going to get you on the channel. I'm going to send you some dates and we're going to get a show together, because I don't know how to do, we could do a Zoom call, but you can only do 40 minutes, and I feel like our show might be about 2 hours. Plus, we need Asif to come on and pay for the subscription and sponsor the show. You'll probably get, I was going to make some Prime jokes now about sponsorship, isn't it? I've started that. But I agree. But ultimately, I think with business, sport, and I've been saying this about other sports recently as well, they struggle when there's no star. You can have great, phenomenal golfers, for example. Where's the star power? Phenomenal footballers. Where's the star power? You can have great football. Where's the star power? And I think in wrestling, it's the same as any form of it. It's like a bit, and I know it's different now because you don't have many Tom Cruises left in the world. But if you look at movies and people, I'm an old man, so people used to go to movies just for a star. So maybe that doesn't happen anymore. Probably it happens to me. But people used to go and see an Arnie movie. People used to go and see a Tom Cruise movie. People would go and see that. That would be, it could be crap. It could be rubbish. They didn't care who the director was. They didn't care on the budget and all of these sorts of stuff. That was huge. That was star power. They did that. And I think the same thing, you've got, as I said, you look at WrestleMania, you look at who was on WrestleMania, and I'm going to include Travis Scott. You could Travis Scott and Logan Paul as two massive mainstream stars. Then you've got John Cena, who's a crossover. Okay, The Rock didn't appear, but he did appear the one before. Carter was the biggest star for New Japan, an event thing. Oh my God, I knew Joe Henry was coming into this chat. This is where we're going to have to start to wind down on this chat. I mean, in fairness to Joe Henry, I popped massively at Vegas, and I wasn't even drinking at the time, so you can't blame that. I popped massively when I did not expect. I genuinely, I hadn't read any spoilers. I didn't know who the Randy Orton's Pardon me, but he is. I did ask for this service instead of, I think his momentum went about 6 months ago, but fair play to him. Like, massive pop. Okay, it was only a 5-minute match. It worked. Great RKO. Didn't know either. Yeah, didn't know. Oh, you didn't know about Joe Hendry, I assume, appearing. Yeah, no, it's great. It was a great surprise, and it was a great moment. Everyone sang to his theme tune. People knew that. But again, he was, how many views did he get on YouTube for his theme tune? It was like and didn't he get in the top 10? And at least in this country, I've got to visit her, Blue, who's clearly a Joe Hendry fan. Yeah, so yeah, I think we're you talk about Henry's appearance. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we've descended into just chat about everything now. But I think we will do a few more of these shows where we'll do it. I'm going to have Oridon on very soon to get a live debate going on around that. Yeah, I think he's going WWE. I mean, he's practically there now, isn't he? With the appearances in TNA and that sort of stuff. He's decent. I don't think apart from the the cat Blue believes in Joe Hendry. But fair enough. Like he's good. He's got a great theme tune. And is that gonna do him well enough? I don't know. Someone's gonna have to tell me how good he is in the ring, because apart from that Randy Orton match, was a 5-minute match, I've never seen. And again, star power is obviously a bit catchy theme, but he's not a star, is he? And that's my point. So tell me what stars I want to see to make me watch. If you watch this afterwards, write in the comments. Yeah, I think he's decent enough. Like I said, he was decent moment, decent match. 2 RKOs done. I saw the interview of him afterwards where he said John Cena was giving advice and saying you did enough. You did enough. And I think, again, he's coming, I assume whenever his TNA contract is, it's the most obvious thing in the world, isn't it? That he will get signed either by NXT first and WWE or straight. I think he could go thing. Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is incredible if you like that sort of thing. And again, let me not start about the grind, because we're gonna end up being here till 10 o'clock at night. But Will Ospreay is a very good technical wrestler. He's okay on the mic. I don't particularly. He just says brother every 5 seconds. How big a star is he? To Oridon and to Asif, where is it? Whose level is he at WWE? You tell me, where is he? He is not. Do not tell me in terms of star power here. So you can say technically he's better in the ring than this. Tell me where he is. Where is his equivalent in WWE right now? Not his equivalent in AEW, but his equivalent of star power. People know him. People who don't like wrestling know him. He's not. This is the kind of comedy. This is the kind of comedy that's going to make me stay on. He is not Seth Rollins' star power. Seth Rollins' star power is not that. You could say in the ring, on the mic, you can say all of that. But in terms of his star power, Seth Rollins headlines WrestleManias. There is no way. Yeah, I get it. Seth wants to match. Of course, Seth wants to match. Seth wants to match in WWE. Seth ain't going anywhere. This is what I think I worry when people think, actually, Will Ospreay's on Seth Rollins' level. He's not on Seth Rollins' level. He's not even close to Seth Rollins' level. He is on he's on like a mid-card level of star power. Oh my God. Asif actually agrees with me on a point. That's it. And that's not to say he's not great in the ring. And, people like that style. People like that sort of, and he's got, I think he's got that hidden blade or whatever it's called is a very good move. He's very clean. He's very smooth in the ring from what I've seen. He'll be mid-card in WWE. I'm saying what he is. You're telling me he's going to be rubbing shoulders with Roman Reigns. You're telling me he's going to be rubbing shoulders with Cody Rhodes, with John Cena, with Seth Rollins. No way. I'm just saying he's mid-card. He will come over as a mid-card person if he can. If he wasn't afraid of the grind and he decided to come over and he decided to join WWE. I'm joking, by the way. I know Triple H's comments, I'm saying. But yeah, it's from what I've seen. But that's what I'm saying. I am someone who watches a lot of wrestling, or a lot of WWE wrestling. He is absolutely in the future. I think the one who could have, obviously Cody did it, and Cody's obviously got a name in WWE. He's got a name, hasn't he? He's Dusty Rhodes' son. But the one that I thought, oh my God, if they came over to WWE, they could get close to top pretty quickly, was MJF. But that's when MJF was headlining, was great on the mic, was 23 or 24. I was like, this man is everything about him. He's WWE superstar. You know, isn't he? He is a dream for WWE in terms of that. He mainstream crossover. I saw he was in a movie. Like all of that sort of stuff was perfect. I don't think, if you look at where AEW was when he was on top versus where AEW are now, and if you're telling me Will Ospreay's on top or he's the thing, that tells you everything. That's the business argument again to say why I think. I mean, not the industry. I mean, this is what happens. Asif gets over the top now. This is another argument. It's a lot easier to get over in AEW. I've said this several times in our group chat. Asif would get over in AEW because people want people to get over in AEW. Very few people. Tell me who can't get over in AEW. That's easier to say. It is a niche audience. Who's better between who? Who's better on the mic? I'm better on the mic for a start. That doesn't count. Who's better on the mic than MJF? For a start, Paul Heyman is better on the mic than MJF. John Cena is 100% better on the mic than MJF. Roman Reigns is better on the mic than MJF. That's just three off the top. CM Punk, my God. CM Punk is better on the mic than MJF. There's four off the top of my head. And there is probably other people that are better on the mic. But those people off the top of my head are easily better on the mic than MJF. And it's not always about swearing and saying the cutting line, is it? Because you don't have to do that. It's great. MJF can swear left, right, and center. But if he's so good on the mic, what the hell is he doing now with Bobby Lashley? And what is that? Are people invested in that? Are you guys invested in that storyline? Asif, are you invested in MJF joining the Hurt Locker, Hurt Room, whatever they're called? I mean, Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, and what's his name? MVP. Yeah, I'm not MJF. I think there was a momentum. I think I personally, and he will. And again, this is the problem. Though. So Tony Khan can pay him this humongous wage to stay with AEW. Fine. Why wouldn't you? Why would you want to lose your biggest star to WWE? But that is what my point again is around the competition, is that AEW can pay a Sasha Banks, MJF more than they're actually worth. And I'm not saying you can say they're brilliant wrestlers, whatever, but more than they're worth in terms of what viewers they're bringing in, what new eyeballs they're bringing in, how many people are sitting in the audience watching this, how many people are buying t-shirts, how many people are, oh my God, I'm going to start watching wrestling because I've just seen this guy called MJF, he's amazing, or Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, because she's amazing. That's my point. So what they're getting paid, if Sasha Banks is the highest paid woman in all of wrestling, that doesn't correlate with merch, it doesn't correlate with people eyeballs, it doesn't correlate with who's known mainstream in terms of that. Who can't afford Roman? AEW. AEW can afford whoever they want to afford. AEW is funded by a billionaire. If Roman Reigns says, pay me $20 million a year to come and work for AEW, if he wanted to go, of course Papa Khan's going to give Tony Khan that money. That's what I'm saying. There is a thing. So they can afford whoever they want to afford. They're not, because they're not getting the money from their HBO deal. Of course Roman's not going to go. Roman, this is a whole nother show. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this on every single show that I do. Enjoy Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has got about a year or so left. And Roman Reigns wrestles 3 times a year. I think you've probably got single digits Roman Reigns matches left to watch. And this Roman Reigns and the final version of whatever we're going to get post Bloodline, no thing. Roman Reigns has had leukemia. He's already started one movie. He's starting in another movie now that's going to come out. He is a natural star. There's talk about him being in also Street Fighter, the movie, as Akuma, which is, I mean, just take my money now. Like, 2 of my favorite things, Street Fighter and Roman Reigns in the thing. I don't think he's going. However, my point is, AEW could do that. If it was Seth Rollins, it was talk about Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I never said, Seth Rollins, I never once said that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins won't go to AEW because of the money. Tony Khan would pay them right now more than what Triple H or whoever you want to call it, Nick Khan, TKO, are paying them. That's never been the thing, and that's my point. However, a Becky Lynch or a Seth Rollins would absolutely bring you up. You can imagine how many people, including myself, would tune in if suddenly Becky Lynch or Seth Rollins or someone else of that ilk appeared in AEW. I think they need it. that's going to be my final point, because I have talked for almost an hour. My final point is, not that anyone in AEW is going to listen to this or listen to my advice, is they need some stars. And I don't know how they get them. I don't know whose contract's running up. I don't know how they can get that. They need some star power to generate some new interest. But maybe they don't. Maybe they don't, because they're happy with what viewers they get. They're happy with their funding model, and they can do that. But if they're to grow, they need more than anything, in my opinion. They need star power. They like start. Not, and again, I'm not talking about in ring. I'm not talking about wrestling history. I'm not talking about their legacy in wrestling and all of that, and great technical wrestlers. You know, Kenny Omega, Okada, whatever. I'm talking about star power. I'm saying that's what I think they need. And yeah, they created again. Okay, do you count Cody Rhodes as creating their own star? Because obviously MJF is the obvious one. Tony Storm is the next obvious one. But as I said to you, someone who watches a lot of wrestling, a lot of WWE, who went to WrestleMania, didn't know who Tony Storm was. And that's quite frequent. My worry for it is too mainstream, they'll adapt to the mainstream audience. Yeah, I agree. And that I don't know, Asif, if you heard earlier, that my point was this competition thing. I'm just repeating myself now, so hopefully no one ever watches this video again, because it's long and I've said the same points. But yes, if they become too mainstream, they become WWE light, they adapt to that, they are then not for that niche audience, but they get a bigger audience. So how do they grow? So my thing is stars. They can bring stars. They can try in that. And I agree, they need to create their own stars. MJF, huge. Tony Storm, huge. Again, do we count Cody as a star that they created? Or did he help with them? And obviously he's Cody Rhodes. He's had the name forever. So there's an element. They obviously absolutely helped, and he helped them, didn't he? You know, there was a mutual partnership there. TNA 2010. I don't know what that random comment is about TNA. You're talking about, is that when Hogan and Bischoff came to TNA? And that doesn't work for me, brother. But I mean, it is one of the best memes, though. The Hogan's TNA theme meme, every time someone apparently books themselves in WWE or AEW or has too much power. I mean, the best, maybe I'm wrong, but the best version of that, the views meme, surely is Sasha Banks. I mean, someone tell me I'm wrong, but how has she got all these belts? Are people interested? Has she brought new eyeballs into has she taken any of the WWE audience across with her? Are people watching it because of her? I know you know, TNA stopped being the promotion. They become WWE light, and that's the argument about AEW over the last, up until maybe the last 6 months, they were becoming WWE light, and I get it. So I don't know how they grow then. If they don't appeal to more mainstream audience, they're not going to get a bigger audience. If they have this niche product, I don't think this is going to appeal much outside the 18 to 45 male wrestling proper knowledge fan, hardcore wrestling fan demographic, and that's limited. I don't care for the belt collector and gimmick, and that's it, isn't it? I don't know, and I don't think people will want AEW light, but can they? I mean, if anyone knows what contracts are up, well, who can they realistically get? Who can take some eyeball? This is it. I think, you know, you take the 10, 15 biggest stars in WWE, male and female, can they realistically get any of them in the next year or so? Can they, like I said, if Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, someone like that left WWE, joined AEW, would I watch at least their opening promo, their first match? 100%. 100%. I would put my eyes in it, just like I did with CM Punk. And the CM Punk thing, Tony Khan did what he did. He felt he had to do whatever happened. No, I'm not saying they are going to. I'm not saying they will go to. I'm saying that's what I think they need to do. I don't think they would increase numbers. Are you trying to say that they're not needle movers? I think they would. Well, I mean, maybe not over time, because that has happened, but the only person that has moved the needle for AEW was CM Punk. That was the difference. You can look at the stats, the numbers when they had, obviously were on normal TV and whatever. It peaked. And I think Becky is a bigger star than Seth. I mean, I know Roman says it as a dig, and The Rock said it as a dig or whatever, and CM Punk also said it as a dig, you know, in a promo battle. But Becky is huge. Tyler Black. Yeah, no, you're right. Obviously, you can't even use his name as Seth Rollins. But then Becky can't use her name, can she? Isn't Becky's called something else? Is it Rebecca something? It's not Rebecca. Yeah, she's married now as well. So what's their name? You're right. No, you're right. Seth Rollins without Seth Rollins, and no, he's thing. But I don't. Seth Rollins is Mr. WWE, isn't he? He's never going to leave WWE, is he? So I think, but Becky, Becky would. I think she's got obviously she's got New York Times bestseller. She's in Star Trek, isn't she? She's been in some. I mean, she was in the Rocks show, so I can't ever see her leaving. You have kept me for another hour. I'm going to end it now because that is enough. And I've enjoyed this. We are going to have a chat face to face. We're going to do that. So we're going to have some continued discussion in a debate chat. Good. I think you're the only person I know that actually reads wrestling books, Asif. But each to their own. Thank you for watching. If you do watch us afterwards, please comment. Tell me what I'm wrong in. Tell me what I'm right in. Would you agree? Would you disagree? What does AEW need to do to get closer to WWE? Do they financially? Do they ever need to? Right. Have some dinner. Have some. I don't know what are you saying? But because I read your book, I said you read your book. Who reads wrestling books? I think I read one like maybe when I was like 15 or something. I'm not going to get into this debate about thing. I know you read books. You can talk into the ether now. Right. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. For those that did, Oradin, Asif, Billy, shout out to all of you. And enjoy this weekend. Tell me your thoughts. Peace out.